Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So this is part 11 of our main stack Auth series, and in this video we are going to see how we can do a forget password feature in Angular and Node.js project. Again, before starting this feature, I will highly recommend you guys to go ahead on my YouTube channel and you can have a look at all my playlist what I have created for the main stack. So this is part 11 which we are doing it, and if you want to do this part, then I will highly recommend you guys at least you should have a login and registration page which I have created in my last two part of this main stack auth series. So once you have a login and registration page, then I will recommend you guys to start with this video. All right, so let's see what we have for now on our website. So here you can see we have this new user registration, and if you have already registered, then you can click here to log in. Okay, so what we will do, right, we will do try to change some slight changes here. For example, on the left we will have forget password link, and on the right we will have register here, or maybe we can say create new account, something like that. Okay, so we have to do some changes here, so let's do that in your login.component.html. So here I will just make this guy as justify between. Okay, and I will add one more. Let me remove this new user, I don't need this anymore, and I will copy this anchor tag and I will paste it above. Okay, so previously this was span tag, so I have removed that span to anchor, so that's why it is A now. Okay, and now I will change here to this text to forget password. Okay, and I will change this to create new account. Okay, create account. All right, so that's how it will look like. So we have create account and then we have forget password. All we have to change is the router link because we have already configured the route. So this should be forget password. Okay, let's save all the changes and we can see if Angular is compiled successful, and I can see forget password and create account. If I click on create account, I will come on the registration page. If I click on login here, I will be on the login page. Okay, and but if I click on forget password, I should route to a forget password page. So here we have nothing, so let me just display something over here by saying p tag, and let's say forget password work, so that we can render something, so that we can check, yeah, it works fine. Okay, so we will have to create the UI for this, so let's go ahead and create the UI. Okay, so to create the UI, I will again go and copy the same what we have for your login. Okay, let's go in this and paste everything. Okay, all I need to do is make this login form to forget form, and this login button to send an email. Okay, I'll just show you how the UI should look like, then everything makes sense. Okay, so let me first add the form here by saying forget form, and this will be of type form group if I'm not wrong. Yes, it should be form group. Okay, and I will have to inject the form builder, so I will say inject, no need of constructor. I will have your form builder. Okay, once we have these two, now we can initialize your form in ng on init. So I will tell, okay, it's always better to implement on init before using that method. So let's implement the interface on init, and this will ask you to implement the on init function. So I will take it somewhere down. So let me do control X and control V. And in this block, we will try to initialize your form. So let's say this dot fp, this dot your forget form. Okay, to initialize, we can say this dot fp dot group. And in this group, I will have a single form control, which is email. And this email will have two validators. So let's add the validator by saying compose validators dot compose, and in the compose I will add two validators, which is validators dot require and validators dot email. So this is very important. Okay, so we are using two validators, required and email. Okay, let me just check why is it not working. So this should be validators. Okay, so the mistake what I made is this compose is an array, so this should take an array of validation. So compose, open up the bracket, and then you can paste. Okay, so this should be validators dot email, and now our form is ready on the TS. So now let's just fix few things on the HTML side. So here if you see, right, so we are getting a lot of errors, so we can fix that very easily. All we have to do is just copy this form name, which is forget form, and we can just go here and replace all of them with this. So just do a control F, find this term login form, and all you have to do is just replace this with your forget form, and you can just click on here to replace all the instance. Okay, and also you can just rename this method to send email. Okay, send email, or I can say it as submit for now. So let's say it as submit. Okay, let's create the method as well for the submit so that there should be no error. So let's create the method submit, and inside this we can just do a console.log, and in this let's add the form, this dot form dot value. That's it. Okay, so our form is ready end to end. So now we have the UI and we also have the logic also written on the TS. So let's test it how things works here. Still we are able to see the same login page because we are on the forget password page. Still we are able to see the old because we have to update the UI as well, right? So we have to remove unnecessary thing for the forget password, which is this line first. So we don't need any password. Okay, so let's remove that control, and we will say this as submit. Okay, submit, and we don't require this bottom footer as well, so we can remove this as well. Save the changes, and now let's see how things looks. Okay, so now this is how it is. This we have to change it to forget password, or I will just say enter your email ID, something like that. All right. So now here just below it, we have to put some content, right? Like enter your email ID, and so that we can send the reset link. Okay. So I will just add a span tag just below this form. So now we have a span tag with a margin bottom of 4 with all this text, so you can just copy paste, or you can just pause the video and you can make it same what I have for now. And let's see how things looks here. So this is what it looks like now. And also what we can do, right, we can have a two button on the bottom. Okay, rather than just having a single button of a submit, we can create a two buttons. Okay, so what I will do, right, I will remove this button, okay, from here, and I will add a new one with a div, and this will say submit, not send email. Okay, so I have added this extra div by removing the existing one. Let's save all the changes, and now this is how it looks like. Okay, so what you will do, right, whatever email address you will put. So for example, let's see by actually doing a small demo. Let's go in the console and write your email ID. Okay, now if you click on submit, right, so can you see this is what I'm getting in the body, like this is what I have to send it to the backend. Okay, so this is the first initial step. I would say this is one of the easiest step of this part, where we are just creating a form with a single field. Okay, but let's just talk about how the things will work when, like how this reset password things actually works in actual. So let's see what else we have to create. So currently what we are doing, right, so for now we have a forget password page. Okay, let me just increase this. So for now I have a forget password page. Okay, so over here, right, we are sending an email. So this is what we are sending it to the backend. So we have an email, and this email ID we are sending it to the backend, that I want to do a forget password for this email. Okay, abc@gmail.com. Okay, so what this guy will do, this guy will go in the backend, in which is our Node.js. Okay, in the Node.js, it will check if email exists. Okay, so this guy will check for the email. If the email exists, right, so what it will do, it will create a link. Okay, so this guy will create a link by creating a token payload, by creating a token, and this token will be created by using a payload. Okay, and what will be the payload of that token? Nothing but will be your email ID. Okay, so user will send an email to reset his password. He will check for the email exists or not. If the email exists, then this guy will send a token. Okay, so this guy will send a URL, and that URL will consist of what? Your website, which is currently for us, it is localhost, right? Localhost 4200 slash reset. Okay, reset. Okay, reset, and here we will have the email token. So slash, it will have the token which we will be sending it to the user. Okay, and this token will be valid only for 5 minutes. Okay, which means the user will only have 5 minutes to reset his password, or else he will have to send again. So he will have to send again the request, so that he can create, like he can create a new reset link. Okay, and what we are going to do, right, so as this token is valid for 5 minutes, so what we will do, that the user will do its reset password. So now this reset password page will open with a token. Okay, so we will use that token to send it to the backend for a validation that this is coming for the genuine user. So now when user has to reset his password, he will send his new password along with the token which he has received in the email. Okay, and in the backend we will go and validate this token, that this token is genuine or not. Okay, if the token is genuine, then this guy will go and update the password for that email. Okay, So this is what the flow we are going to follow. Okay, so this part is done, that creating an email is done, and now we have to send this email to the Node.js. So for that we will have to create a endpoint, okay, in the Node.js. And to store this token, we have to create a schema, a token schema for a user, so that we will go and create in the Node.js as well. Okay, so do not worry, I will go very slow for this particular implementation one by one. Okay, so let's just see what we have to do first. So this part is done, that we are able to get it in the console. This is what we have to send it to the Node.js. Okay, but before that, let's go ahead and create the schema which I was talking about. So this schema will nothing but helps you to store the token. Okay, so let's go in the model and let's create your token schema. So I will say this as user token. Okay, and now let's create the schema by importing import mongoose from mongoose, and also we need something called as schema. So let's also add the schema. Now let's create the token schema. So we'll say const token schema will be equal to your mongoose, which is this, just that we are not making any spelling mistake. So mongoose dot schema. Okay, and inside that we will have our object, and in this object we will create the first thing for user ID. So for this user ID I have to create the token. So let's specify the type. So the type will be schema, which we have imported here, dot types. Okay, types dot object ID. Okay, now next thing, this field is required. So this is a required field, so we'll say required as true, and this will reference. So the reference table is the user schema is our reference table. Okay, and now I will have to create the token. So let's create the token, and token will be of type will be string, and required will be true. Okay, and now we will create one more field which is created at, and in this guy what we will do, right? Oh sorry, this has to be outside. So token, then we will have created at, and we will specify the type which is of date. Then default we will give the date dot now, and expiry time we have to specify. So expires we can put 5 minutes, it is equivalent to 300 seconds. Okay, so this is what we have created. So we have a schema created for the token. All we need to do is just have to export this. So we'll say export default mongoose dot model, and in the model just give the name of your table and specify the schema. That's it. Okay, so this schema is ready, and we are going to store our token for per user inside this. Okay, now let's see, let's create the endpoint for sending the email ID. Okay, so for that I have it inside this route. So let's go in the auth.js, and we will create the route. Okay, this will be router dot post, and we will specify the link. So the link will be let's give the endpoint as send email, and we will create our callback here. Okay, so to create the callback, let's go in the auth controller, and let's create that export const send email, and then this will have request comma response comma next. That's it, and let's call this send email inside your auth route. So this is your send email. That's it. And now let's try to add your logic here. So let's save all the changes for now, and also let's open up your, if everything is okay. Yeah, everything is good. Now let's write the logic. So as you know, right, we are sending the email from the body, okay, from the front end. So this is what it is. So now let's take the email outside into a const variable by saying request dot body dot email. Okay, now we have to check if the email exists or not. So for that, let's see, let's check for the user if the user exists for that particular email, as I have told you, right, in that diagram which I was trying to explain. So for that I will have to use await, because this is MongoDB which is asynchronous, so we have to make this async, then only we can do await. Now I will say user dot find one. Okay, find one, and this time I will be using a regex pattern. So let's see how we can use that. So we are checking finding one for what? Email, and in that email we will put the regex. So regex, we have to put it like this, dollar regex, and in that, that's how I will start the regex. So that's how you start the regex, and after that you are checking for the email. Okay, and then you will end the regex. So again we have to concatenate. So for that I have used this, and for ending we use dollar. Okay, so this is what it will check for regex, and then we will pass the option. Okay, so again we have to use dollar for that options, and we will just say it as I. What does that mean? So that this will not check. So basically this I means that we are not checking. So we are making, right, we first convert it to uppercase or lowercase. So this is what it tells, that this will not check for the case sensitivity. So this will make both of them small, and this will try to check the regex, okay, for case sensitivity. That's it. And now what we will do, right? So once if we find the user, so for that, for example, if we don't find user, okay, if there is no user, then we'll have to throw an error. So for that, we have already created a middleware. So we'll say return next. And in that, I will say create error. And in this create error, I will pass the status code, which is 404. And the message is user not found to reset the email. Okay, again, if you have question from where this create error came, it's imported on the top, as you can see here. Okay, we have already created this in one of my previous video. If you haven't checked it out, go ahead and check it, guys. Okay, so now once we are returning the error and there is no user found, but what if there is a user, there is a user present? So what we will do, right, we will create a token for that user. So for creating a token, I will be creating the payload first. So your token will consist of your payload, and that payload will consist nothing but your email ID. Okay, so user dot email. All right, so your payload is ready, and then you have to create your expiry time. So const expiry time. So expiry time we will give as 300 seconds, which is 5 minutes, and we will say const token. So let's create the token now. So for that, again, we have already imported this JWT in this auth controller. So we will use that to create the token. So we will say here JWT dot sign, and now this guy we have to pass the payload first, which we have created on the top. Then we will pass the JWT secret, which is stored in the environment variable, which is process.env.jwt secret, and there is something called as expires in. So for that, I will pass the expiry time, which is 500 ms, sorry, which is 300 seconds, which is equivalent to 5 minutes. And now we have to store the token. Okay, so let's store the token now. So we'll say const new token will equals to new user token, which we have just now created. Okay, again, this is imported, so we have to just make sure this is .js, and this is user token, which we just have created here. Okay, in this model user token. All right, now let's pass the two things for sending it to the database, which is user ID, and user ID will be coming from where? User dot id, and second thing we'll pass is the token, which is the token itself. So now we are going to store this token in the DB so that we can verify it later. Okay, so our job is done till here. So now if you see the image, what we have just created, the figure. So now we are able, now we can send email from front end to the Node.js. This guy will check if the email exists. If this exists, so we are creating a link with a token and payload. Okay, so the token is also been created. Okay, and we have saved it also in the database to validate for ourselves. Okay, but now once everything is done, right, we have to send the email, right? So to sending an email in Node.js, how we can do that? So to do it, right, so you will need a package called as node mailer. I have already installed that package. If you don't know how to install, it's very easy. All you need to do is just make use of npm. Okay, just say npm install node mailer. Okay, and once you hit enter, this package will get installed. Okay, and make sure that you are in the API folder, okay, of this project directory. So once the node mailer is installed, you have to import it. So as I have imported it here already, and now I will create the node mailer transport. Okay, so let's go ahead and create that. So now how I will do that? So for example, here I'll say const mail transporter equals to, we'll use node mailer dot create transport. Okay, create transport, this guy. And in this guy, right, we will have to pass few things. First thing is service. So which service we are using it to send the email. So we will be using Gmail. Okay. The second thing, we have to pass the authentication. So for that, you will have to pass your username and the password, which is pass. Okay. Now, so from where you will get this user and pass? So user is nothing but the Gmail ID which you guys want to use, and the pass is not your password for doing the Gmail login. So this pass you have to generate in the Google. So I will show you that later, how can we generate this pass. Okay. Now, once you have this auth as well, which means your transporter is ready. Okay, so your transporter is ready. Now you will have to create your mail detail. So for that, let's create an object mail details. And over here, I will have this from. So here we will have to create from whom we want to send it. So for me, it is, I will use my email, which is let's program. Okay, so let's program 30@gmail.com. Okay, and then we will have to say to. So in this to, like we will pass the email which user has sent as we have stored it here. Okay, so this is what the to will. So from let's program, I want to send it to the user who is trying to reset his password, or you can put your company email if you have one. So something like that, and then you will create your subject. Okay, so subject will be what, reset password. All right, and the most important thing, the HTML. So we will be passing an HTML. So this HTML will help us. So I'm using a backtick now. Okay, so I'll show you the how the HTML content will look like, and also I will paste this in the description, or maybe I can just provide you the file where this template will be present. Okay, or else if you guys want to pause the video, you can do that as well, and you can create the same template. Okay, because we have applied some styling as well. As you can see, we have applied some styling to this. Okay, so that's what. Okay, let me just zoom out. If you guys need it, you can just pause the video and you can just take it. Okay, so this is how the HTML looks like. Okay, and this HTML will help you to create the reset password, like that page which I have showed you in the demo. Okay, but make sure that use this backtick. Okay, this is not the normal what we say, the string code. This is a backtick which we are using. Okay, and now here you'll have to pass the username. You will have to pass your URL. So we haven't created yet the URL, so let's go ahead and create that in the environment variable. Okay, so we will create the live URL, which is nothing but your HTTP localhost. Okay, so we can directly go and copy, right? So that's how the URL looks like. So we can copy this URL and we can paste it in the environment variable. So let's remove this guy and paste it here. No need of this forget password. That's it. Okay, so that's how your live URL looks like. And then you have a reset slash the token what you have created on the top. Okay, this token what you have created by using the payload, and this link you will be sending it to the user. Okay, as an HTML body. Okay, and once your mail detail is ready, so this is what your mail detail looks like, and then what you will do, you will use mail transporter what you have created dot send email. Okay, and in the send email you have to pass the mail details, which is you have created on the top mail detail comma, and then there is an async operation which will have two things. Okay, this will consist of your error or your data, if whatever you have. So this is a callback, and in this callback if there is any error, okay, so if we got any error while sending the email, so we can tell to the user, right, there is something went wrong. Let's log the error so that we can check what went wrong. Okay, and also we have to send it to the user, right? So we can send a response by saying return next, and in that we can pass the error, create error. We can say 500, and we can pass the message something went wrong. So something went wrong while sending the email. Okay, all right, now what's next we will do, or else the else condition, which means if there is error then we will do this, else, which means there is no error, then what we will do, we will save the token. Remember, we have created this new, but we haven't used this new token yet. So now we will use that new token dot save. Okay, so once the token is saved, now we will create the success. So we'll say return next, and inside we'll say create success, and in this we will pass the message 200, and we will say mail sent successfully, and that's it. And that's how we will be able to send email. So this is what the logic we have created for sending an email from a Node.js to your email ID. So whatever so for now we are using the service of Gmail, right? So now the important thing is what will be this auth. So for me, I'm using my email ID, which is let's program dot 30, but for the password, right, you will have to generate a password. So to get your password, you have to come on myaccount.google.com and you have to sign in with your Gmail ID. Okay, and you have to come in the security. Okay, so in the security, right, what you will do, correct, so here you have to make sure that your two-step verification is active. Okay, so you have to activate this first two-step verification. If this is active, then you have to go here in the search and search for app password. Okay, so let's open up this app password, and then you will have to create a new app. So let's select here other and give a name auth. Okay, and let's generate. Okay, this will generate a key for you. So this is going to be your password. So don't worry, I'm going to remove this key after this video, so there will be no use of this key. So you have to create your own. Okay, so once this key is generated, you have to go copy this key and go in your code and paste it here in the pass. Okay, so this is what the key we will be using to do the authentication for this Gmail. Okay, let's save all the changes, and now let's see if we are able to send the email or not. Okay, all right, to do that, first let's go ahead and start the server again. Let's see if there is any error. So no error at all. Now we will be creating the endpoint. So I think the endpoint is already created. All we have to just review it once. Yes, everything is up. And now let's go ahead and hit that endpoint. So let me open up my Postman, and I will have to use a genuine email ID. So for that, let me just see which one I can use. So I'll go in the body, raw, select JSON, and this will be a post. So this will be send email. So I have to use localhost 8080 auth slash send email. Okay, and then after that, what we will do, we'll have to go here and add the body. In the body, it should have email, and I'm going to use yshi30@gmail.com. Okay, so I'm using one of my email. I'm not sure if this is registered or not, but I'm just trying to check. So once I click on send, can you see I'm getting a proper error message that the user not found to reset this email. So there is no user we have created for this particular email. So let's go in your Angular and let's create a user. So that's why I said that whenever now you will be creating a user, you will have to create a genuine one. Okay, so that that email should not be like ABC XYZ. So you'll have to create a real email ID. Okay, so I'll just create one of mine own. Okay, and let me use the let's program 30@gmail.com. I'm just trying to send my email to my own email. Okay, so that I can just do a demonstration, but here you can use your own. Okay, and the username will be Sashi30, password 12345, and here as well. And I click on register. Okay, so user got created. So user is created now, and now if I try to change this email, so now I want to reset my password. Okay, so that's what I will be doing now. So I will put here let's program. Okay, let's program 30@gmail.com. Okay, and now if I try to click on send, okay, so I will be getting a message that email sent. Can you see I got a message that email sent successfully? All right, and now if I log into my Gmail ID, so I can see that. So here you can see I have logged in with my account let's program.in, and here I can see that I have sent an email to myself, which is that's why it is me, and I got a subject as reset password, and I can see my username what I have just created, which is Shashi30, and this is my reset password link. So if I click on this reset password, can you see I'm getting a URL if you see in the bottom. Okay, so currently this is failing because we don't have any route created for it. Okay, so currently we don't have any routing. Can you see this is the URL? Okay, so this is the URL reset slash this is the token. Okay, and if I copy this token, right, I can see something in the JWT website. Okay, so this is the token. If I copy this token, if I go on the website jwt.io, let me paste this token here to see what is the payload data look like. Can you see the payload data? I have this email ID what I have created, and I have the expiry time as well, which is after 5 minutes this token will get expired. Okay, so this is the beauty like of sending an email from your Node.js to your Gmail service, whatever the service which you will be using. So for us, we are using a Gmail service. Okay, now that's not it, right? So this is not the end of the video. We still have to do a lot. Okay, so this is just about sending an email, but now we have to handle the reset password page, because currently when we are trying to click here, okay, so we are getting an error in the console that there is no routing existing for this URL. Okay, so we have to create a endpoint. We have to create a URL in Angular for that. Okay, so let me create the URL. So let's go in your client app and let's go inside your approute.ts, and here we will create that. So I hope we have the reset password page. If not, then we'll have to create the page. No, we have the reset password page. Now we will go here and create that path. The path will be reset slash, then we have a token, correct? So we'll say token. And whenever I'm going on this, I have to load the component. So I will load the component. All right, so that's what I have added, just copy pasted, and now this will be changed to reset slash reset component. Okay, I'm getting error because you guys know, right? You have followed my previous part. So this is because we have to make it as default component, and now that error is gone. Okay, so that error is gone, and I have explained it why we are doing it, okay, in the previous video. All right, so now we have this path ready, and let's see what we have in the h1 tag. So we have reset works. So now whenever I click on, okay, let me close these two. tab. So now if I click on the reset password, can you see I'm able to go to the proper route, which is reset works, and I can see a token also on the top. So this is what I was talking about in this when I was explaining, right? So that's how I will create a localhost 4200 slash reset slash our token. Okay. And now on this page, we will create the password and confirm password form. Okay, so let's do that. All right, so I have copied this from one of my snippets so that I can save some time for you guys. If you have to make it similar, so again, you can copy it from the login component or register component or forget password component, because I'm just trying to save some time. Or else you can just pause this video and you can create this same for you guys as well. Okay, so that's how the form HTML will look like. It is completely same what we had for the previous one. Okay, so all we can do is we can just change this text to please use strong password. Okay, because we are not adding any validation for 7 character or 10 character in this video actually. Okay, now let's fix all this error. Again, to fix this errors, it's very easy, right? We have to just create few things here as well. So first thing is reset form, and this will be of type form group. Okay, let's copy this form group and paste it here. Okay, so we have already did it, so it's the error is gone. Now for form group, it is error because we have to import reactive form. So once we add reactive form module, so this error is also gone. Now the only last error is this method, which is a reset. So let's create that method reset. Okay, everything is done. Now if you want to see it, you can go on the UI and you can check. Can you see? This is how the reset password page looks like now. Okay, now we will have to do a lot of things here in this reset password component, because what happens, right? User will put his password and confirm password and he will click on submit. So once he click on submit, I have to do a API call. Okay, but before that we have to bind the form, right? So let's import the form builder. So form builder, again, no need of constructor, we will inject it directly, form builder. And what we will do, right, we have to use this token which is in the routing. Okay, so for using this token, to get this token, so what we have in Angular, right, there is something called as wait, let me just show you that there is something called as activated route. So we will make use of activated route to get the param. Okay, to get the param value, which is your token. Okay, so we will inject activated route. All right, and also I will make use of router, so that if my reset password is success, I will again route myself to the login page. So I am importing all the necessary thing. Now also let me add the on in it. So let's implement, and again copy this and go in the bottom. Okay, let's paste it here. Now in this ng on init, I will get that token value. So the token value is of type string. So let me create a variable token of type string. Okay, and the whatever is there in the URL, right, in the reset password URL. If I click here, so whatever is there in this URL, I have to store it, right? So for that, I have added this variable called as token, or you can say property. Now here I will say this dot activated route dot, okay, so we have something called as params dot subscribe. So we can subscribe to this value, and what we can say, right, we can say this dot token we have to store, right? So we will make use of this value, but we have to assign it like this. Okay, and we will say the token. Why I'm saying here token? Because that's how you have created your param, right? If you go in your route, that's how we have written it here token. If you change this to ABC, then again you have to make this as ABC. Okay, so that's the importance. So that's why this is token here. So let me make it here token as well, so that it should work. Okay, now let me just do a console.log so that you guys can see if the token is there or not. Save the changes. Okay, and let me just check. Yeah, compile is success as well. Now let's go here and inspect the element. Okay, let's refresh the page. If there is any error, we will fix them. Okay, so now this is breaking because we have to initialize the form and whatnot. But one thing to note here, that I'm able to get the token, okay, in the ng on init. See, this is the token which we have logged. So we are able to get the token which is there on the param. Okay, now let's fix this form error. So for that, fixing that, we have to initialize the form. So we will say this dot reset form will be equals to this dot form builder dot group. So we have to group the form. So for grouping it, we have to say password. Okay, so two things we have to use, right? So as we are using password and confirm password, So we can just add it like how we have did it for register, and we have to import this validator. Okay, no need of compose, we can directly say validator dot required. Okay, so these two is ready. Now we also have to add one more extra validation, right? What we have added for the registrar, so we can add that as well. So let me copy this extra validator for checking the confirm password validation, that both should be equal, and let me go here and paste it. Okay, we have to import this, so let's quick fix and add the import, and that's about it. That's about it. Okay, let me format everything. Yep, so now this will be our confirm password validator. Okay, all right, now if I say anything here, this should be, can you see, confirm password is required and password didn't matched. So we have to check all the validation is working perfectly or not, so we'll have to fix them. So if you go here, okay, all I can do is I can directly take it from what we have in the reset page. Okay, so can you see this thing is there because we have a ng if condition, but for this we don't have it. So we can take it from register component.html. Okay, so the for password didn't match, you can directly take this, copy all, to be very honest, you can just directly copy it and you can paste this here. You just need to change the form name. That's it. So this should be reset form. Save the changes. Let's go here. Now if I say 1, 2, 3, again say 1, 2, see it's still error if I say 3. So password matched. Okay. And if I say 4, again password didn't match. And the form is also, can you see this is invalid. So that's why I'm not able to submit as well. So both of them should be equal. Then only we can proceed. Okay. Now let's make few changes here so that we should not show the text. So we have to make it as password, add the confirm as well as a password. All right, so now this should be okay. Now once I click on submit, let me just log how the what value it is like sending. So once I click on reset, I'll say console.log this dot form dot value if the form is working or not. So we can check that. Let me log it. Let me remove everything. Now if I say 1, 2, 3, confirm also 1, 2, 3, I can click on submit, and can you see I can see that in the object is ready, confirm and password. All right, now this is ready, right? But we have to send it to the Node.js to reset my password for that email. Okay, so how can we do that? So to do it right, we'll have to create a one more endpoint in the Node.js. Okay, so now let's see how we can create that endpoint. So let's go in your auth.js in the route. Okay, so in the API project, in the route, in the auth.js, we will create one more endpoint, and this will reset the password. So this was for sending email, and this endpoint is for resetting the password. So we'll say router dot post reset password. Okay, and we will create our handler here. So the handler will be created in the controller. So just below this, we will say export const reset password, and we will have request response next. Okay, and in this block, we will write our reset password logic. And let's import this directly in the auth.js directly. So reset password. Okay, this is imported also on the top. Save all the changes. Everything should be green. Yes, it's good. Now let's write the logic. Let's go in the auth. Yeah, over here we'll start try to add. So what first thing we will have, we'll first take the token which is coming from the body. So the token will be like this. So what we'll say, request dot body dot token. So this body will be sent to us from Angular. Okay, so we are storing the token there, and from Angular user will also send the new password. So we'll say new password will be equals to request dot body dot password. Okay, so we have stored all of them in the two variables, token and new password. Now first thing we have to do, we have to verify the token. Okay, so that's the very important step. So we'll have to verify by saying jwt dot verify. We have to send the token which is coming from the user, and then we'll have to use the JWT secret. So we'll use process.environment.jwt token, the JWT secret. Okay. If, and the third thing, we get a callback. Okay. And in this callback, right, let's create this as async callback. And this will have two things. Either it will be error or this guy will have a data. If this guy has a data, which means the token is verified. But if this guy has any error, so if there is any error, okay, if any error, then we can say that, okay, there is something went wrong. So we can return next, and we'll say create error. And the error will be what? Which means the password is expired, right? So we can say that reset link is expired. Okay, else if there is no error, which means everything is success, everything is green, then what we will do, we will store it in the response. So whatever data we got, we will store it in the response. Okay, so we'll just storing it in the response. See, it's up to you. If you want to directly use data, you can use the data. Okay, But just to showcase you that we will use response equals to data, and this data is nothing but will consist of your payload. So we have created a payload by using email, right? So that's what this data will consist of. All right. Now what we will do, we'll say const user is equals to await. So now let me tell you, I have to use the same logic again. Like I have to validate if the user is there or not. Okay, so that's what I will be doing. So let me copy this directly and paste it here. So I'll say const user await user dot find one. Okay, but we have to send the email. So for sending the email, we will say reset, or sorry, response dot email. Okay, response dot email. Okay, if I find the user, then what I will say, I'll just me generate the salt, because we have to encrypt the password as well which user has sent. Correct. So let's create a salt by saying await by crypt. We had already added this package on the top, if you remember, dot generate salt. So gen salt, and in that let's push 10 as a random number, 10 round. Okay, and then we'll say const encrypted password will be equals to your await by crypt dot hash. So we have to hash the password by saying new password comma passing the salt. That's it. And now what we will do, we will take this user which we have just got right now. We'll say user dot password, and we will update this password with the new encrypted password. Okay, and then let me use a try catch block. And what I will be doing in this try catch, first thing I will just update the user. So there is something called as const. Let's use this const and say updated user equals to await user dot find one and update. There is something called as find one and update in mongoose. Okay, and this guy will check for id. So find one id user dot id. Correct. Then you have to update. So we'll make use of set what, set the new user with the updated password. Correct, we have updated the password here, so now this will update and the new will be true. So we'll make use of this new so that we can send the response with the updated details. Okay, if you want to send that, you can do that. Okay, once if everything is done, if this try catch is done, we can say okay, return. If everything is done, everything is saved, we can return the success response. So create success by saying 200, and we'll say password reset success. All right, or else in the catch block we can return the error. So let's copy this and let's make this as create error by saying 500 and something went wrong while resetting the password. We can give any error message, it's all up to you. Okay, so this block of code will help you to update your password. Okay, to update your password in the backend. Okay, now let's see how we can use this endpoint. So this endpoint is auth slash reset password. So if you remember, we haven't created anything in the Angular, so we'll have to create. Let's go in the client and let's go in your auth service, and you will have to actually create two because we have tested it by using Postman, so we'll have to create it in the Angular as well. Okay, now we will say this as send email service. So this guy will take nothing but your email ID as a string, and then we'll just say return, copy everything. This will not. Okay, so for this we have to send an object. So you can remove this for now. Also you can remove this. I know you guys will don't have this, so let's remove that for now. Okay, and here we'll pass the body by saying email. Okay, that's it. For sending the email, we are just passing the body, right? This body, just with an email and the value. Okay, that's what we have did here. We have passed the body with the value. And the second thing we'll have to create is the object for resetting the password. So we'll say reset password service. Reset password service, and you will have to pass an object. So reset object of type any for now. Okay, and we can just remove this guy and we can pass the reset password object. Okay, so both the API service is ready in the Angular. Now we'll have to use them. So let's first use the send email service in forget password. So let's go in your forget password page, and whenever we click on submit, I will have to send the API call. So to do that, we have to inject the auth service. Okay, auth service injected, use them. So this dot auth service dot send email. Okay, and this guy will have the email value. So we'll say this dot forget form dot value dot email. That's it. And then we have to say dot subscribe, and in the subscribe we have the next. Okay, this will have our alert. We can alert it as response dot message, or if there is any error we can catch them in this object, error object, which has the error callback, and you can just do alert error dot message, something like that you can do. Okay, now this was for the submit. This was for sending the email. Okay, if there is anything success, then this will be okay, and we just need to reset the form. So we have the forget form dot reset. Okay, that's it. Now we have to create the new method for your reset in the reset component. On this here, we have to call the service. So we have already injected the auth service, if you remember. Now let's use that auth service here. This dot auth service. Oh, we haven't updated. Sorry. So we'll have to do the same. So we'll say auth service will be equals to inject auth service. Now we can use it by saying auth service dot reset password service, and we will pass the form, which is the reset form. Again, we'll have to create here the object. So let's create the reset obj. So what we are sending for the reset obj, if you remember, this expects two things. First thing is the token, which is coming from the top. So we'll say this dot token. And second thing, we are sending the new password. So by saying password, and we can say this dot form dot value dot password. So we don't need to send the confirm password. We just have to send only one password, which is because anyway, that is just for the validation purpose. So that's what we are doing. And now here we'll have to just pass the reset object, which will contain your token, and this will contain your new password, what user has entered. Okay, and then you can subscribe this. So let me take it from the forget password, what I have just added. So all I have to do, subscribe it, and that's it. So it here dot subscribe, and this will be your reset password form. If the reset password form is success, I will have to use router. See, I have added it already. Router dot navigate, and I will have to navigate the user to the login page. That's it. Okay, now save all the changes, and let's see if everything works fine or not. All right, now let me first try to do a login. Okay, so to do the login, I will make use of let's program 30@gmail.com. The password is 12345. If I click on login, I can see login is success. Again, I see welcome to book my book. Okay, let me click on logout. Now, for example, I have forget my password. So what I will do, I'll click on here forget password. Let's program 30@gmail.com, and I click on submit. Okay, so I'm getting some error for sure. That's why we got this undefined in the alert. So let's see what is the error. So if you go in the network tab, I'm getting 500 error, and this is because we are using the wrong endpoint, correct? So I knew this kind of mistake I do when I do copy paste. So that's why this is not a good habit to do copy paste. Okay, so let's go here in the auth service, and we have to change this, right? So this should be send email, and this should be reset password. Guys, if you don't know like how why I'm doing all of this, then you have to follow all my previous videos, and everything will make sense why I'm using this API URLs and whatnot. Okay, so now let's save all the changes, and let me just check in the, yeah, everything works fine, all green. Now I will use again the same let's program @gmail.com and click on submit. Okay, so once I click on submit, I can see the request is sending. It's 200, email sent successful. If I press OK, the form got reset, and if I go here on the let's program website, I will receive an email. Can you see I got one more email right now? Just okay, now I have this option. Okay, dear username, I have got this. You can click here to reset your password. If I click on the reset password, can you see I have routed to this page? Okay, and now I will changing my password to 12345 6. Okay, previously it was 12345, and now I'm adding 6 as well. So 12345 6. So password match, so there is no error, no validation issue. And now I can click on submit. Once I click on submit, I can see password reset success, and I am routed back to the login page. Okay, now if I try with again let's program. Okay, this is my email, and now if I try 12345, if I try to click on login, okay, there is definitely an error. Actually, I clicked it, so there is an error. I think we should make use of alert to show it. Okay, so can you see I'm getting an HTTP response error? Definitely it will say password is incorrect. Okay, so let me put up an alert very quickly so that it can be very much visible to everybody that okay, what went wrong. All right, let's go in your login, and in the alert, rather than putting it in the console, what we can do, right, we can make use of alert for now, but later we will change it. Error dot message, save it. Now let's try to log in. Click on login. Okay, I'm getting undefined. Let me check why. Okay, this should be error. Okay, so it should be only error dot error. That's it. So I am using message. That's wrong. Let's use error dot error. Save it. Okay. Now I can see the error, which is password is incorrect because we have changed our password from 12345 to 12345 6. Again, let me remove and show it to you. 12345 6. If I make use of new password, I can see login success. See the magic, guys. So that's what we have did it in this part where we have seen how we can make use of how we can send an email to the user, okay, by using Node.js, where we are using the Node Miller package, and how we can reset the password as well by creating the token. So that was about it, where we have learned a lot of cool features, like a lot of few concepts also, right? Very important concept like about resetting a password. I have already showed this in my Auth series where we have did it with .NET as well, and this is very fresh, which where students are learning mean stack, right? So this can help them, like how we can do this reset password and all these odd things in mean stack project. Also, you guys will have a question, Shashi, then why we have created this token, right? So why we had this user token, why we are saving it in the database. Okay, if you see in the Mongo Compass, right, so we are actually storing this token which we have created. So it has a rather cool concept about like why we are making use of this token. So I will show it to you like once we need to add some more extra level of security, right? I will tell you at that point of time why we added this token. So that is for when we will make some more advanced feature in our main stack Auth series. At that time, I will cover that topic where I will be using the same project. Okay, so that is for my future videos. So that's why I've added that. And I want each and every student to have that before I start that advanced topic in adding it in the authentication series. Okay, so that's all from this today's video, and I would like to ask few guys if you guys can uh, give me like 100 likes. I'm just aiming it for 100 likes from each one of you. If you have loved this content, then do give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more such content about the Mean Stack series. Also, we are not done yet in the Mean Stack because we have to do a lot yet, right? Because if your login is success, right, still we are able to see this unnecessary options to click, which is not good, right? Like we cannot see this cart and welcome user and logout button even if we are on the login page. So to fix all of this, I will be covering this thing in the next part where we will see how we can make use of the cookie which we have created whenever we do the login. Okay, so that part will be covered in the next video. So that video I will be releasing it very soon. And for this video, if you have any doubt, any question, you can ask me in the comment section, or you can connect with me on Telegram or Instagram. I am always happy to help you guys over there as well. All right, so till that time, bye bye and keep learning, guys.